Hello and welcome to the Spandex and Wine podcast. I'm your host, Robin Hackney, and I'm so happy that you're here. This podcast is a place for conversations about balancing a healthy lifestyle and being happy. More specifically, happy hour. Together, we'll explore all things wellness and wine. I hope you learn a little, laugh a lot, and along the way, know you're not alone on this balanced wellness journey. Ready to jump in? Pour something in your glass that makes you happy because it's time for Spandex and Wine. Hey, welcome to the Spandex and Wine podcast. I'm your host, Robin Hackney, and I want to say thank you for taking the time to listen today. I feel like today's episode will resonate with so many of you. So I spend my fair share of time looking through social media, and I'm working on that balance, although a lot of it's for work. No, really, it is for work. That's how I find most of my guests. It's by scrolling through Instagram or following content creators to see if they have material that might be helpful for you and for me. And I feel like today's guest, Cernera, is the perfect guest for the show. She's a personal trainer, a functional nutritional therapy practitioner, that's a mouthful, a devoted mom and wife, as you will hear, and now helps so many people move well and live better. Pour something in your glass that makes you happy and get ready for my conversation with Christine. Hi, Christine. Welcome to the Spandex and Wine podcast.
Hi, Robin. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm happy that you're here. You have touched so many lives with your Instagram account and just what you do in general. I know you're a functional nutritional therapy practitioner. You're a personal trainer. You have a program that you work one-on-one with clients. But before we get to some of that, I want to know where it all started because I read that it was with your son.
Yes. So in 2011, my son, who was then 13, and he's now going to be 27, became very sick. It was like January 2011. And to make a very long story short, it was 6 months of him being sick, 3 doctors later. We didn't get a diagnosis till May of 2000 or almost June 2011 that he had a duodenal ulcer at 13. But he had gone through 6 months of pain and depression. I'll be honest, it was terrible. But during that whole time, I was working full-time in an office. Luckily, it was near my home. So I was going from my office to home to school. He was being homeschooled because he was throwing up constantly and constantly. This is for almost 6 months. So that whole experience was so traumatizing for both him and I. But it was also an amazing learning experience for me because I've always been a questioner and a researcher. And that whole experience was so impactful in my life. And it showed me that I had to trust my instincts because they were telling me that his symptoms were in his head. The first 2 doctors. Yeah, the first 2 doctors they did an endoscopy. Oh, they didn't find anything. It's in his head. And as a mom, and I'm sure you know this, it was, I mean, first of all, horribly painful to watch your child go through this. I just wanted to go through it for him.
Right.
But just basically not giving up on, I knew something was wrong. I was determined to find it. And the other thing that, in retrospect, now in 2024 versus then, there was so much less information to be researched. Like now there is so much information out there. I was constantly researching on my computer, and it was so hard to find information about gut health and nutrition like there is now. There's so much, almost too much now. But anyway, that experience of not being heard by doctors, that was my biggest, concern. Knowing that something was wrong, not being listened to, my son not being listened to, that is what spurred me to leave the office environment, which I was in for most of my adult life. And first I became a personal trainer right before I turned 50. So I was 47 when I was going through this with my son, and I had gained 20 pounds while he was sick because I was just like, first of all, so stressed out. Eating whatever, like it was terrible. And when he got better, I went back to the gym. I made a commitment to myself that I would never let that happen to myself again, which I've stuck to. And that was over 10 years ago. And then I left my office job, which I was becoming increasingly unsatisfied with. became a personal trainer. And I actually was a personal trainer up until 2022, but I kind of gave that up to do focus on the nutrition aspect and, lifestyle for people I work with. But that
Hmm.
definitely was the turning point for me. Like when that happened to my son and myself, it just changed my whole outlook on everything. Um,
Yeah.
I cry thinking about it right now. Like it was so, so traumatic. And for my son, obviously for my son as well. And
Yeah.
it has made him very much more in touch with his body than most people his age. So if
Yeah.
there's any benefit to it, it was that he learned never to give up and to listen to your body. So that's a
Right.
bit of what happened as well.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I hate that you had to go through that. Hate that he had to go through that. And as a mom, oh my gosh, it's just heartbreaking when
Yeah.
your child is sick. I can't imagine at that age too. It would be such a tough age to go through that. So I'm sorry that that was your catalyst to get to where you are now. But I can tell you're doing amazing things and you're touching people in wonderful ways. So congratulations on that. How is your son doing now?
He's good. Yeah, he's
Okay.
married for 2 years. He lives nearby, which is great. He still has, like I said, he knows his body. So when he has something come up that he feels weird, he comes to me and he talks to me about it. But overall,
Hmm.
he's beautiful. He's healthy. He's smart. I'm very blessed to have like two great sons. He's my younger son. I have an older son too. Yeah.
Good, good. Yeah, I have two boys as well, so
And,
I can definitely relate. I can't even imagine what that was like.
yeah.
Okay, so I'm glad that he is doing better. And take me to like what you're doing now. I see you on Instagram, but I've also read that you have a program that you work with clients one-on-one as well.
I do one-on-one. I don't know if it's not really health coaching, so I'm not technically a health coach. So as a functional nutritional therapy practitioner, what we really do is gather a lot of information from who we work with. So as far as symptoms, health history, a food journal, kind of seeing what kind of stress is in the individual's life, using that information to create like bio-individual recommendations to kind
Hmm.
of bring their body to balance. So of course we don't diagnose anything because we're not doctors, but we make an assessment based on all of that information and then work on digestion. That's a big one. And
Hmm.
that also brings me back to my son. So that's why I was attracted to functional nutritional therapy because it really is based a lot on digestion and how it affects your overall health. So that blood sugar regulation, stress, uh, those are the foundational sleep. Now, I've introduced sleep and movement to that too. So it's really a holistic approach. And then we make, recommendations and kind of follow up like 6 weeks later and see how they're doing. But I am very much, it's not that I don't believe in supplements. I do, but
Hmm.
I feel like there's a time and place for them. I really am a food first
Yeah.
practitioner. And if I do recommend supplements, it's usually functional support for your digestion.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's how the one-on-ones work. It's very intense for a lot of people. You have to be ready. Like, and
Right.
I won't ever give people recommendations that I don't think they're ready for. It can be tiny little starts, like just drinking more water with electrolytes.
Hmm.
And that's it. Like it really depends on the person. And then I work with people who are like, okay, I'm ready. I'm gonna do this. And they do it. I have people who've done that. So I really have to gauge that with the individuals I work with.
And then with your that restart program, is it something that you do just you offer a few times a year? Is it something that's continual? Can someone reach out to you now?
Yes, actually, I'm going to be launching the Restart small group program again. I haven't done it since last year because I was busy doing other things, but it's a 5-week program that we meet every week. And I've been doing it since COVID. I've been doing it online. That's just the way it, kind
Hmm.
of developed. I used to do it in person more. So each week we discuss a different topic. First week is getting started, how to prepare your kitchen for removing processed foods and sugars for 3 weeks. So the actual,
Hmm.
I hate the word detox, but the actual removal of those foods is from it's week 2, 3, 4. So first week is preparation. Second week is all about digestion. Third week is all
Hmm.
about blood sugar regulation. Fourth week is about healthy fats and why they're important. And week number 5 is like, how do you proceed after doing that 3-week, cleanse, if you want to call it that. And it's an hour and a half each week. You get materials. I do provide even extra resources as far as recipes and lifestyle resources for my participants. But yeah, I usually announce when I have the dates ready. So I will be announcing that on Instagram and on my Facebook page. I'll be doing that within the next couple of months. But yeah, it's a great program because almost everybody who's done it, most people lose weight. That is not the intent of it. It's just a good side effect. The intent of it is to get people to eat more whole and minimally processed foods, removing all processed foods and almost all sugar for just 3 weeks, which seems
Yeah.
overwhelming for a lot of people. But, I feel like with my support, it's definitely doable and it's worth
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And very eye-opening as well. And I love that you do it one-on-one, but I feel like there's so much power in a small group too, because then they have the support with the others in the group. And you're not alone. Like you're like, okay, Sally's doing it with me, so I'm good. I've got this.
So that versus the one-on-one is much more appealing to a lot of people. The
Yeah.
one-on-one is just like, it's just too much for like people aren't ready for that sometimes. So that's why I like Restart too, like you said. It's just like kind of diffuses the, I don't want to say accountability, but it diffuses that pressure.
Right, right. But it kind of it has a little bit more pressure in a way too, because you have the others doing
Mhm.
it as well. And you're like, okay, if they can do it, I can do it. So I don't pressure's not the right word. I guess support and accountability would be
Right.
a more appropriate. Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
point. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Well, I came across your account on Instagram and I've been following you for a little while. And I love the reels and everything that you post because it is broken down in small nuggets that you can really comprehend and it's doable, things that you can actually do. And it's not like, oh my gosh, she's swinging from this bar and she's, eating this and that. And it's something that's easy to follow. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that you have that content.
Thank you. Yeah, everything I do on social media is what I do. Like and that's how I get my ideas too. So I'll just be, doing what I do and I'm like, "Oh, I should do a reel on this." Just
Yeah.
sometimes it's silly, sometimes it's, like serious stuff, but yeah, like I want to be authentic because I like that when I see it on social media.
Right. Right. And it's funny that you say that because like they're always saying you have to have reels, you have to do this, you have to do that. And I just got so hung up in having to put that content out there. But what you just said was everyday things that you're doing. Oh, this could be a reel. It's true. People want to see what you're actually like and what you actually do. So I really appreciate that about you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. And when we didn't hit record yet, we were talking before, if you don't mind me bringing this up, but how a couple of your reels have gone viral, which is wonderful, but then what it brings with it. So share just a little bit, if you don't mind, what we were talking about before.
Yeah, of course. I love talking about it because I think others can learn from it. So it's more on Facebook than Instagram. So I'm sure you're aware when you post on Facebook, you can set it to automatically post I'm sorry, when you post on Instagram, it can automatically post to Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
That's how
Mm-hmm.
I've always had it set up, but I was really concentrating on Instagram. But I had a reel in February, which was just me doing a mobility workout that I started for myself as a challenge on February 1st. I do 15 minutes of mobility workouts every morning, and I've been doing it every morning, even if it's a little shorter than 15 minutes. So I just did this quick reel of me demonstrating these moves. And I think about 4 days later on Facebook, it just blew up. Like I got over 1 million views and I went from 1,200 followers to 15,000 followers. And as a small content creator, small business only person, it's very overwhelming when that happens. So I
Yeah.
was like, oh, this is great, awesome. And I got access to just more features on Facebook. Anyway, then it leveled off. I got a lot of women, mostly women following, which makes sense. Mostly like 50s, 60s women. I'll be 60 in May, so it makes sense. And then I posted a
Mhm.
reel 2 days ago. And this is exactly how it happened. I was doing my morning mobility workout in my pajamas, which is how I usually do it. My husband recorded me from behind, which I didn't really know. I didn't know he was doing. I had music on because he's proud of me. He's like, he doesn't do it, but he's proud of me. And he was like, you hear him talking in the background about how this is the unglamorous reality of what my wife does and how she stays in such good shape. And it was literally like, I don't know, 10 seconds maybe. I don't know. And I'm like, you know what? He showed it to me. I'm like, I'm posting this. So I
Yeah.
posted it on Sunday, I think. And that reel out viraled my other reel. So now I have over 2.5 million views. I'm up to
Wow.
40,000 followers. But the thing about this reel is it caused so much controversy. First, because I was in my pajamas and he took it from behind and my butt is kind of like sticking out doing these like lunges and a deep squat. So I got a lot of nasty comments about, not a lot. I shouldn't even say a lot. Most of the comments were great.
Yeah.
Women were like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. So it was amazing. But a lot of comments were bashing my husband because he said, this is the unglamorous side of what my wife does. And I
Yeah.
really did not understand that at first. I'm like, why are they getting so upset? So there were
Mhm.
so many comments about how arrogant he is. How can he say that about you? And it was crazy. So, and I'm
Yeah.
still getting comments like that. And then other people are defending my husband saying, will you chill out? He was actually being like nice about it. He was proud of his wife. So it's just amazing what, all the different perspectives that you see when, you post anything, I will say anything. Even the other reel got like negative comments. So I guess my message is you can't care about what people think. So you just do
No.
what you want to do, and especially if it helps people. And I think most of what I post, I would say 90% of the feedback is, this is great, it inspires me. So that's what keeps me doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, continue doing it. There's always going to be the haters out there. I think you're doing a
Yeah,
fabulous job.
thank you.
So yes, please, please, please keep sharing the content that you're sharing. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. I want to go back just a little bit. So before your son got sick and you made this transition, had you always been a healthy person? Had you always worked out?
I've always worked out since I'm about 16. I feel like now I was born in 1964. So we're talking about like late 70s, early 80s. And I remember when I was 16 and 17, I did struggle with anxiety and depression. And one of my teachers in high school said to me to start working out. He said running, but running didn't really resonate with me. So
Mm-hmm.
I lived in Brooklyn, New York. I had this little bedroom, and I got a little weight bench and some like cheap dumbbells and weights, and I would work out in my bedroom when I was like 17. I read Muscle and Fitness magazine. So back then that was a little weird. Like I said, like now it's like everybody's into this.
Yeah.
So always loved strength training. There have been times in my life where it has kind of gone to the wayside depending on what I've been going through, but it always came back. And it's always been something that I've relied on to help me feel better mentally and, of course, physically.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as always being a healthy person, I've always veered toward this holistic approach, but because of the time I grew up in, it wasn't very popular. So I always kind of kept it at bay.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, when I had my sons, I had midwives, and that was in 1993 and 1997. And some people were like, a midwife, like, why would you do? Oh my God. But I always kind of felt drawn to that philosophy of childbirth is not a medical, it's not something that has to be intervened with unless there's something very critical going on. And they did work with a doctor, but I always saw them for my visits. They delivered my sons. It was an amazing experience. So I've always kind of veered that way, but I didn't fully um, embrace that until that happened to my son and I approached 50 years old. Like 50 was huge for me, and now 60 is huge for me too.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say I've always been, health minded, but now since I turned 50, it's been like radical. Like
Yeah.
I don't mean radical in a bad sense. It's just more like I know that I can impact my health in a good way. And that's what I want others to know so badly, because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like not enough people know how much you can impact your health in a positive way with little things even.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I love that that teacher steered you that way. And I love that you were open to that too, because sometimes when you're in that place where you're anxious, you're depressed, you don't feel like doing anything. You don't feel like moving. But in reality, if you could just take that first step, you're going to feel so much better.
It's so true. I mean, and I've had family members with the same, struggles with anxiety and depression. My son, actually, both my sons, and I don't think they'll mind me saying this, but I always tell them, and they're very like workout conscious too. They know that movement helps. So that is the other thing that is so important for myself and to teach other people, that to leave this legacy for your children and your grandchildren of how you can create better health for yourself, and how
Hmm.
I want to age well so I can pick up my grandchildren and help my kids and not be a burden to them, as less of a burden as I can be. So
Yeah.
that's really important to me. And my mom, who's 85, she listens to everything I say, and she's amazing. Not good. Like she
Oh,
lives,
that's fabulous.
yeah, she lives on her own. She goes to like activities at the senior center. She dances. Like I'm so proud of her. Like she listens to everything I tell her to do. So that to me is, her gift to me also.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Will we see her in a reel?
She is so self-conscious and shy. I mean, I can
Oh,
try. That's a good idea, though. I should try to get her on there because she's very spry for her age and very with it. So I would
yeah.
love to get her on one.
Absolutely, absolutely. So besides your restart program and your one-on-one, your small group that's coming up, what's in store for you? Like what do you see in the next 5 years that you're doing?
Now that I'm getting more of a following on Facebook, I really I'm starting a subscription program on there soon. It's very inexpensive. It's like 99 cents a month. But I want to offer like a smaller group of people who are really dedicated to their health, more personalized attention. So
Hmm.
something like that where I can like do it from anywhere I am. Like for instance, we're going to Europe in May for my birthday and my husband's birthday.
Nice.
And I'm like, and here I am thinking, oh, I have to bring my computer because I got to show my followers like how I'm exercising while I'm away. So I do want to be kind of a digital nomad type of person. I want to be able to
Yeah.
reach people this way and help them this way more than I have been. Not that I don't like doing one-on-one in person with like local individuals, but I really do like the ability now to reach so many people all
Yes.
over the world. So I love that. So I see myself just, doing that more online and more live things. And, I'm thinking of other programs that I want to create that are specific to feedback I'm getting from a lot of women my age,
Hmm.
especially now that I've increased my followers so much. I'm getting so many messages from women in their 50s and 60s. I'm in pain. My mobility, I don't feel good. I don't have energy. So I'm really seeing the need for someone like me to let them know that there's hope,
Right.
feel better. So that is what I'm really hearing so much of in the last week. I was just saying
Yeah.
to my husband, I'm like, so many women are reaching out to me and I want to help them so much. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking of other ways to focus on these people who are really devoted to their health, not just, it can't be everybody, but there are people who are very motivated to want to get healthier and work for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so then I have to ask you, how are you structuring your boundaries and setting things up so you have balance in your life? Because it's got to be difficult with so many people reaching out and you feel like you want to help everyone. What are you doing to make sure that you're protecting yourself?
That's a really good question and very appropriate, especially because of what the last few days I have been feeling overwhelmed. So, for instance, I woke up this morning and the first thing my husband said, "Oh, how many followers do you have now?" Because it's been growing like exponentially every day. And I'm like, I am not looking at my phone right now. I said, I
Yeah.
cannot. It's 6:30 this morning. I'm like, no. So I have to, that's one boundary I'm getting off my phone earlier in the evening and
Good
not
for you.
not picking it up. And I think that's a good rule for everybody, whether you're a content creator or not, because what do we do? The first thing, pick up the phone,
Mm-hmm.
scroll,
Hmm.
scroll, scroll. So that's a little thing I started just today because of this overwhelm I've been feeling.
Yeah.
And I have a daughter-in-law who's actually a social media manager for somebody online who's pretty like up there. And she always says to me, Ma, It's your account. You can do whatever you want with it. You don't have to answer anything you don't want right away. And I always
Yeah.
hear her voice in my head, like, all right, she's right. Like, because I'm that type of person who has that urgency naturally. So when
Right.
something like that happens, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta do it. I gotta. So that was such a good question, Robin, really, because
Yeah.
you can see I'm a very type A person and I want to just get things done. So it has to be very intentional for me to take that step back. So I'm just
Yeah.
starting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first thing. Don't grab the phone right away. Wait at least
Yeah.
an hour.
I mean, and it is hard to find balance. It totally is because you do. I mean, like I said before, you want to help everyone. I'm the same way. I tend to put my clients ahead of me, and I want to make sure that I give them everything that they need. But then if I don't help myself, then that's not really helping anything. And I can see how being in a position where you're at, where you have so many followers, it could affect your relationship, like with your husband or your kids, if you allowed it to.
Right, exactly. And
Yeah.
I'm not even like that, like 40,000 isn't even that much, but it's just me. And like I can't even imagine what people who have, I mean, they end up hiring people. They have like
Right. Right.
a team that handles all that. But I'm like, that's what I said. I'm like, imagine these people who have like 1 million followers. Like they have to hire people because you need that boundary and for your mental health,
Right.
that
Yeah.
like
We both follow. Go ahead.
no,
Sorry. I think we both follow Dr. Brandon Parker,
yes, yes.
and he has like 1 million followers, but yet he'll have a personalized message back. I'm like, how are you doing this?
I saw that you interviewed him on a podcast. I've been
Did.
following him since he had like 15,000 followers.
Oh,
And
wow.
I love his content so much.
Hmm.
I actually did like a duet with him on one of my reels. But yeah, like to stay, to get to that point and still personalize your responses, that's amazing. You
It
have to
is.
be able to balance to do that. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you this then. So the lady right now listening that is maybe in her late 30s, early 50s, has spent her whole life taking care of other people, taking care of kids, doing the job, all of that, and now is ready to take that step to make sure that she is healthy in her next phase of life. What piece of advice would you give her?
So you just described me when I was that age, like had no idea. I wish I had somebody telling me what you're asking me, right? So,
Mm.
as somebody with autoimmune disease too, which I'm sure started developing when I was a younger mother because of stress and not taking care of myself, my my main piece of advice for young moms out there juggling is we all have time to take 15 minutes for ourselves. I didn't know that then either. Nobody told me this then. But like
Hmm.
everybody has time to take 15 minutes to do something for themselves, whether it's like a stretching routine that I do, I don't know, weight training, sitting there, meditating, which is not my thing, but this is like my meditating, doing the stretching.
Yeah.
Everybody has 15 minutes, especially nowadays when all we do is how long do we stay on here? 15
Yes.
minutes is like
Right. Right.
nothing on here. So I would tell that mom, and like kind of going back to what you said about, what good am I to my clients if I'm not taking care of myself? If we
Hmm.
take care of ourselves as young mothers, even a little bit, we will be better mothers to our children,
Yeah.
right? How many times have I thought back to when I lost my temper with my kids when they were small and I still feel guilty about it?
Oh
Like,
gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
right? I remember the time I yelled at Andy, and oh my God, I traumatized him. So, like, we're going to lose our temper, but we're much more likely to lose it if we never give ourselves time to ourselves. And
Yeah.
that doesn't even count watching TV. That means just actually doing something for yourself.
Right. Right. No, I 100%
And
agree.
but every day, like taking 10 or 15 minutes. I really,
Right. Yeah. Not once a month.
right, right. And whatever that is for you, it can be different for everybody. Reading a book, doing a movement routine, whatever it is. But yeah, that's
Right.
my piece of it. Just take that. That's it. It's small, but it would make such a big difference.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, I agree. So how can the listeners find you?
So I'm on Instagram at reclaim. Yeah, I'm forgetting what I have it on. Reclaim your health, written out totally. So it's reclaim YOUR health underscore. That's my Instagram handle. And on Facebook, it's reclaim your health. All separate words. Um, And I'm probably starting a YouTube channel, but that's not yet. But that's the main places they can find me. And I do answer all messages and respond to everybody. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I so appreciate you taking the time to be here, sharing your story. I think you're just sharing wonderful content and helping so many people. So very
You know
good.
you know what? I forgot my website. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, let's say it. I'll put it in the show notes as well.
Okay, I do have it. It's just www.christinecernera.com, my whole name.com, because I couldn't get Reclaim Your Health.
Oh,
But yeah, so that's my website where you can, like, I can be contacted through there also. So yeah, it was a pleasure, Robin. Thank you. You're a great interviewer. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule.
You're welcome.
That was wonderful. Christine is so delightful. I hope you'll take the time to share this episode with a friend, because you never know how much you might be helping that person and impacting their life in a positive way just by sharing good content. Christine was talking about everyone having 15 minutes a day for a routine. Next week, I invite you to follow me on Instagram, where each day I'm going to be featuring a short workout that you can do in under 15 minutes. So you can find me on Instagram at Spandex and Wine. She also mentioned the importance of hydration, balancing electrolytes, and gut health. I am absolutely loving a product I've been using daily for all three of these areas, and it's called Hydrate and Detox. It's a fusion of pre- and probiotics, antioxidants, and a blend of clinically proven ingredients to revitalize every aspect of your body, really. You can check it out using our special link at hueandgrace.com/spandexandwine. Okay, here are the takeaways from the episode. 1, trust your instincts. If you receive a diagnosis that doesn't quite feel right, keep searching and find the right professionals to help you. 2, trauma can be overwhelming and unbearable at the time you're going through it. Turning it around and using that experience to be a catalyst to better yourself and others can be life-altering in an amazing way. 3, never give up and always listen to your body. 4, eat whole foods and eliminate processed foods and sugars from your diet to feel your absolute best. Seeking a professional like Christine can be helpful on your journey. 5, social media has its positives and negatives. There will always be haters projecting their own issues on you. Ignore them and continue to just be you. 6, you have the power to impact your life dramatically in a positive way through exercise and eating clean. It's never too late, so get started today. And 7, leave the legacy of how to live healthy for your children and grandchildren. Be the example.
Thank you for listening. If you're enjoying this podcast, be sure to follow Spandex and Wine so you don't miss an episode. To do this, just go to the podcast and click subscribe or follow wherever you're listening. Look for the plus sign or follow button. This is one of the best things that you can do for the podcast. If you'd also be willing to give a 5-star review, that would be amazing and much appreciated. Lastly, please share an episode with a friend or 5 to keep the love going, and join the Spandex and Wine community in our private Facebook group by searching Spandex and Wine. Feel free to reach out to me at any time by emailing info@spandexandwine.com or text me at 913-392-2877. I appreciate you. Thank you.